In the previous lesson, you learned how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. We're actually going to continue that because we only touched on the basics of completing the square. So, just to refresh your memory, with our steps that we had in the previous lesson, we've actually added one to the beginning. So, in all the problems you had in the previous lesson, there wasn't a leading coefficient. There wasn't a number in front of x squared. Now we're going to give you a number in front of x squared, but you can't have it there to complete the square. So the only step that's new is that you have to divide first. Okay, so let's go ahead and do two problems. First problem, go ahead and solve each quadratic equation by completing the square. We are going to follow our first step. If there is a number out front, we need to get rid of it. So since there's a 2 in front, we're going to divide everything in that equation by 2. So I'm left with x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, then I'm going to move my constant term over like we did. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So I have x squared minus 4x plus something equals 5 plus that same thing. And when I complete the square, I need to make sure I use this value right here. Don't go back to the original. So I'm going to take negative 4 and divide by 2, which gives me negative 2. And then I'm going to square that. Negative 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. After I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and factor just like we did before. So my group will always be in the form x plus or minus something squared. So we're going to use minus 2 because when we divide it by 2 we get negative 2. And then on the right side we're going to add. So 5 plus 4 is 9. Go ahead and take the square root of both sides. So the square root and the square root. So on the left side we have x minus 2. On the right side we have plus or minus 3. Don't forget your plus or minus sign. And then we're going to solve. So we're going to add 2 to both sides to get x equals, and remember this is two parts. We're going to do positive 3 plus 2 and negative 3 plus 2. Common mistake here is that students change the sign on the 2 instead of the 3, so be careful of that. So positive 3 plus 2 is 5, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, and you are finished. Let's go ahead and do another one. Okay, again, there's a leading coefficient out there. We're not allowed to have that, so we're going to divide everything in that equation by 5. So when we do that, we get x squared minus 2x minus 10 equals 0. We're going to go ahead and move that 10 over. So we have x squared minus 2x plus something equals 10 plus something. So we're going to take from this equation here, that b, so negative 2, and divide it by 2, which gives us negative 1, and then square it, so when we square we get 1. Okay, so our factored form is going to be x minus 1, because if we divide it by 2 we got negative 1. And then 10 plus 1 is 11. And then take the square root of both sides. So on the left side, we're left with x minus 1. On the right side, we cannot take the square root of 11, and we actually can't break it down at all, so we're going to leave it like that. We're just going to add 1 to both sides. So our answer is 1 plus or minus the square root of 11. Okay, so that's the only thing that's new is make sure you divide by that leading coefficient first before you complete the square, otherwise it will definitely mess up your answer. Okay, go ahead and try the next two, work on the homework problems, and then go ahead and try the quiz when you are ready. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Have a great day.